Northern California, winter of 1968. A cold December night when most people were already inside, hiding from the kind of chill that sinks into your bones. Back then, the Bay Area was changing fast. Protests, counterculture, young people drifting between cities, trying to find themselves. But out on the rural roads, the world was quieter and darker. On December 20th, a young couple, David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, drove out to a stretch of asphalt known as Lake Herman Road. It wasn't a date spot in the romantic sense, but it was quiet, secluded, a place teenagers used when they wanted to disappear for an hour. At 11 p.m., the road was nearly empty. No houses nearby, no street lights, just a narrow, winding strip of blacktop cutting through ranchland and open fields. What happened next lasted only seconds. A car pulled up beside them. Someone stepped out. A gun was raised, and without a single word, the shooter opened fire. David was shot once in the head. Betty Lou ran. She made it 30 feet before collapsing, 5 gunshots in her back. No theft, no sexual assault, nothing taken, nothing left behind, except shell casings and 2 bodies. The sheriff's office treated it like a brutal, senseless double homicide, the kind of case that happens when the wrong person with the wrong intentions crosses 2 teenagers at the wrong time. But there was no lead, no motive, no pattern, and most critically, no reason yet to think this was the beginning of anything bigger. Small pause. At that moment, nobody knew a killer had just tested the water. Nobody knew the shooter would strike again and again, each time more confident, more deliberate, more theatrical. And nobody, not the police, not the press, not the quiet neighborhoods of Vallejo, had ever heard the name that would soon define an era of fear in Northern California. But 7 months later, everything would change. Low typewriter clicks. In late July 1969, envelopes began arriving at 3 major newspapers: the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald. Each letter was handwritten, cold, precise. Inside was a cipher, a coded message and a threat. One of the letters opened with a line that made editors freeze in place. "This is the Zodiac speaking." This wasn't a confession, it was an introduction, a manifesto, a declaration that the killer now had a stage, and he intended to use it. Police didn't know yet that the shootings on Lake Herman Road were connected, but the writer, the man claiming to be the Zodiac, insisted they were. He wanted credit, he wanted fear, he wanted the public to solve his code, to read his message, to understand that he wasn't just a murderer. He was building an identity. Beat. Before long, that circle with a cross symbol would become one of the most recognizable emblems in American crime history, stamped on letters, envelopes, even the killer's own fantasies about his future victims. And the public, they couldn't look away, because the Zodiac wasn't hiding in the shadows. He was writing to the city directly, mocking the police, demanding attention, daring the public to interpret his puzzles. But long before the codes, before the media frenzy, before that now iconic symbol, there was just a dark road, 2 young lives, and a flash of violence that still echoes across 50 years. This was the night before the Zodiac had a name. Fade out with cold analog hiss.